What is up, everybody, and welcome to the PlayStation Forecast, episode 53. I am your host, Alex Derrickson. Hope you guys are doing great. I'm feeling good. I'm ready for the week. This is the first time since episode 4. I think I've done the show live, which is kind of nuts to think about. Now, if you're hanging out here, thank you for joining the live show. We'll get into the changes and why this is live here in just a minute. But It's been a while. I'm not looking at the chat. If you're in the show while it's live, I'll look at the chat afterwards where I'm kind of getting everything together and we're doing the post-show stuff. Also, this desk is very cluttery today. It's just, there's a lot going on. I've not gotten down here really since Saturday. But I hope you guys are doing good. I hope you're well rested. I am not. I'm exceptionally tired. Still kind of recovering from the long week. And that's the thing is you go past 30. You hit the 31s. And your body just cannot stay up that late anymore, right? Like, it's not actually physically possible. It takes like 3 days to recover, on top of the fact that there was recently a scientific study that says new parents lose about 6 years worth of sleep. I most certainly feel like it. So I will be good. You got to factor in probably maybe a second kid down the line, around like 44, 45. I'll be caught up on the sleeping thing. But till then, we've got a ways to go before we get there, obviously. But yeah, thank you for everybody that joined this weekend for the 1 year anniversary stream. We streamed from 8:30 until midnight-ish. Played some Division for most of it. Wrapped up the last half hour with The Messenger. Two just extraordinarily great games. Like I'm still like very deep into both of them. More so the Division currently, but the more I play of The Messenger, the more I fall in love more and more with that game. I kind of overlooked the humor of it the first time through, like the one I talked about it last week, right? I didn't really catch that for a game that's being published by Devolver, I didn't catch the Devolver-ness that it had, right? Like, the characters are in it are much more atypical of your standard side-scroll platform ninja fare that you would get from games that are much more serious, especially with something like Sekiro just coming out. Kind of games that are derived from that sort of like Ninja Gaiden ilk, right? I really want to get into that because I know there's that turn where it kind of switches genres, and I want to get my hands in and all that and get my feet wet there. I just have not had the time kind of getting ready for last Saturday and everything. But the more I play of the Division, y'all, God, I was a little out of my element because I took 3-4 day reprieve from it. Got back into it on Saturday, and it's just, I describe so many games. I feel like I describe them as comfort food, and the Division for me is just that comfort food that I didn't know I was hungry for. You know, it's that. It's getting biscuits and gravy when you just wanted the fried chicken, right? Like you get it and you're like, oh, I did not know I wanted this whole time. Or like it's like going 3 years without a donut and then getting a donut. If you can't tell, I have not had a donut in a long time. I feel like mentally I'm just firing on pastries. But the more I play that, I really want to get, leveled up a little further. And that's, I think if I had one caveat in my current state of living for a game like The Division, is the time that I feel like it requires you to commit. I don't feel like I comfortably can. I feel like if this were 6-7 years ago, I'd probably be at like level 20, 25 at this point, maybe, if I just didn't realize I was terrible at it and quit at like level 12. So I'm kind of hovering at like that 5-6 joint where I'm like, all my friends are at 30, so I'm just kind of vacillating on like how much more I'm gonna have to play solo of this. But I did get to the point where I've unlocked clans, so I'm that early on in the game. I think a lot of people were there by like the Saturday it came out, so the Saturday of the week it came out. Y'all know what I meant. But really, that's been most of the time has been sunk. I've been playing that old game Fatherhood, which is It's a blast. I love that kid so goddamn much. But that's really catches you up to speed. So I guess we'll go through the changes, right? Like, if you missed the stream on Saturday, first off, how dare you? Secondly, it is available on I think it's archived as a VOD on Twitch currently, and it is a video separately on the old YouTube channel as well. But let's recap and let's go through the changes. So the first major change is the fact that if you are watching this live, it's that you're watching this live. So starting Mondays around 7:30, 8. It kind of just depends on my schedule, my wife's schedule, the kids' schedule. It's going to be somewhere between 7:30 and 8. Over here on twitch.tv/pressx2alex, you can catch the show live as I do it. I'll hang around for a little bit afterwards while I get the thumbnails and stuff like that made. And we can just shoot the shit, talk PlayStation, talk whatever. Baseball season's coming up. I'm real excited about it, so we can talk baseball if you want. So that's happening Mondays. The show will still go live on YouTube and podcast services Tuesdays at 9 a.m. That's not changing. From there, on YouTube, you will now find the video version and the audio version of the show. So if you've got a job if you listen to the show at your job and the job has for some reason put some sort of blockade on streaming audio but not streaming video, you can stream the video version of the audio file of the show, or you can watch the video version of the video show, which is far less convoluted. But nothing's changing there. An extra thing gets uploaded on Tuesdays. This goes live on Mondays, and then you can do everything else, at your leisure as it hits. You may notice the new artwork designed by me. I'm real excited about it. That was a fun few days. I just woke up one day and I'm like, I've got it. I had the inspiration, the muse, if you will, was the Miami Heat city jerseys, but did that, got that up. So there's a nice little new look to the show. I think it looks cleaner in terms of presentation and things like that. In terms of the actual video itself, it's the same. It's still the same webcam, same mixer, same mic, all that stuff. But the actual presentation of it away from that, thumbs up, 2 thumbs up. The next step in this whole evolution comes on Wednesdays, where on Twitch and YouTube, I'll be streaming games. So this is going to come in place of the gameplay preview videos I was doing, or stuff like Platinum Pursuit, stuff like Hard Mode, other show ideas that I had. I'm drifting away from that because I kept chasing a content dragon that I really didn't need to invest so much time in, both mentally, physically, emotionally, and things like that. So what was going on? So to catch you up to speed as to why I'm not doing it, because I don't think I was very clear about that on Saturday, or in the truncated 4.5-minute video that you can also watch on youtube.com/pressx2alex. It's that I would get these codes and I'd start being like, okay, I've got to act on these codes. I've got to get the content made for this, because that's the quid pro quo. You say, yes, I'm going to cover these games, but now you have to cover these games, right? And I stopped getting to play games for pleasure, for fun, for enjoyment, and talk about them, right? I kept thinking, how do I spin this into this? How do I spin this into something? And I'd be up, I'd do it, I'd take the hour and a half to make it some, full-blown production, stream it, or not stream it, but record it, upload it for 5, 6 views. 4 views, 2 views, 8 views, whatever. And while I'm not here chasing quantity in terms of viewership, I am chasing quality of videos, and I was not delivering there. And then that was just, compounded with the fact that didn't really get the viewing traction that I initially had anticipated. Typically I'm if I pull an 18, it's a good day. But this was just a hard 6. And that's it. I'm was that worth the stress and the headache and the scooping out time of the schedules and stuff like that? And the answer is unequivocally no, it's not. So what I'm going to start doing is on Wednesdays from 8 until 10ish. You can find me here on Twitch, or if you're watching this on YouTube, here on YouTube, just playing games for a couple hours, whether it's a new release, whether it's just a scary game, whether it's something that I just kind of want to play. For example, this week, for Wednesday, I'll be streaming Overwatch as I try, because I've made no bones about this. I love Overwatch. I'm having a great time the time I've spent with it has been remarkably positive. My issue is I don't know what character to play as, and I've had about 15 people tell me 17 different things. So we're going to just take those 2 hours and we're going to find me a main for Overwatch. So there's still going to be, I guess, a thematic purpose to it. So I can still do stuff like Platinum Pursuit or stuff like hard mode, but not feel like I have to, not feel like I've got to make this commitment to it. This allows me to make the quality content I set out to do a year ago when I was like, I'm going to start talking about games every week. This will get you the best me that I feel like I can give. From there, the next change is if you want to support the show on Patreon, you now can. The link is at patreon.com/pressxtoalex. As always, the links are available in the audio version and video versions of these shows. So, I've only set up a $1 tier. That's it. I don't want to sit there and pressure anybody to feel like they've got to, commit money when like money's tight or anything like that. Like that's not what this is about. That's not why I set out to do this. The Patreon, though, does exist if you want to support the show at a level that will help it get better, that will allow me to, have some extra, money to put towards better equipment, to put towards getting more guests on, to put towards upgrading my laptop so I can actually do better video stuff, so I can improve this and, again, deliver the quality that I'm focused on. As well as the long-running joke of getting the show on SoundCloud. It's stuff like that is where that money is going to go towards, as well as money out of my own pocket as well. To really hammer home that the Patreon is about as optional can be, there is no gated content. There is no paywall. It is just the $1 tier. And if for whatever reason the monthly payouts ever go over $100, 10% of that goes straight to Extra Life. Just right off the bat, whenever the payout comes through, if it's over $100, 10% will go straight to Cincinnati Children's via Extra Life. Then transitioning segue into Extra Life, we are doing Extra Life 2019. Last year, you may remember, I initially set out a goal for 250, and y'all slaughtered that in like no time. So I bumped it to 500. We did that kickoff not the kickoff, but we did that big event at Taft's. We ended up getting to like 775 or something like that. And I thought, let's get to 1,000. And then at like the 0 hour on New Year's Eve, we hit $1,000. I think we can do better, especially if I kick this off earlier. So we are doing a summer kickoff. I'll have more details about that in a couple months. Probably in like a month and a half. I think I'd have more details. So it'll be a summer kickoff initially, like an event locally here within Cincinnati, and then throughout the rest of the year we'll be doing Extra Life specific streams. I say we, I mean me and y'all that listen, y'all that contribute, y'all that support. The goal is $2,000 this year. Will we hit it? I don't know. Would I love to? Of course. I love them kids. I want to do what we can to support, Cincinnati Children's, what Extra Life is about, and stuff like that. So that is the plan. Also, going back to the streams, I can't fully commit one Saturday a month because we're very busy, and sometimes Saturdays are our busiest days ever. But I'm aiming for one Saturday a month, starting in April, to do what I call Alex After Hours, which will just be kind of a late night stream where we just hang out, do whatever, play games, just no real boundaries to be set. So look out for that too. Other than that should get you caught up for everything I have planned for like March of 2019 to March of 2020. So this is the PlayStation Forecast, and it does come to you each and every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on youtube.com/pressxtoalex and podcast services around the globe. But if you want to watch the show live, you can Monday nights at between 7:30 and 8. You can expect it on twitch.tv/pressxtoalex, where you can hang out in the chat, talk about whatever you want. I'll read the chat after the show's done, and we'll do the little post-show stuff. I've got to adjust the rigmarole. This is all weird now. It was all old hat, second nature. Now I've got all these other little bits I got to throw in here. I'm scooping the giblets out of the turkey. Ugh. But Remember, if you want to have your voice heard on the show, you can write into psforms.pressxtoalex.com, where you can submit your questions, comments, news stories, concerns. We actually do have some listener mail this week. I'm excited about that. And also, if you want to support the show, this entire labor of love is mostly self-produced and self-funded by yours truly. So you can go to patreon.com/pressxtoalex and contribute to the show at the $1 tier. You can certainly do more than $1 a month. I'm never going to stop you. It would mean the absolute world to me as we try to grow this and make everything we're doing here just a little bit better and brighter. And don't forget, if you want to support the show, also you can share it on share the podcast, subscribe, follow me on Twitch, subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on the podcast service of choice, all that good stuff. But without further ado, let's get into the news. Turn it over. I'm doubling up on the laptops today too. I'm borrowing my wife's because with the whole streaming and recording things simultaneously, it's currently eating up 42% of my CPU right now. If I throw Chrome on top of that, it shoots up to like a hard 75-80%, and that's a lot. So I'm trying to get this ship running a little smoothlier. So without further ado, let's get into the news. Earlier today at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, PlayStation did their first in an episodic series of State of Plays. So it's kind of like a Nintendo Direct. It's kind of like an Inside Xbox. The audio didn't go out. I was just taking a drink. And it had some new announcements, some new games, and the like. So let's talk about this. This is from Big Time Sid Schumann over on the PlayStation blog. All right. Let's see. So here are the announcements that were done. The show opened, or the trailer, the Direct, it's a PlayStation Direct, however, the State of Play opened with Marvel's Iron Man VR arriving 2019. So this is a VR game from Marvel Games. It's developed by Camouflage, published by Marvel Games. It is a first-person VR game, obviously, because what else would a VR game be? Why would you do third-person? That just doesn't seem right at all. The desk is wet. Where you will play as Iron Man, so flying and all that noise. Not a whole lot really else was revealed about it. There's some combat involved, flying around, shooting stuff out of the sky, and the like. That will be coming in 2019. There is additional content for the PS4 version of CTR Nitro Fueled. That's Crash Team Racing : Nitro Fueled. It is a retro skin packs and a retro track. So you can actually throw on like a skin pack that'll make it look like the PS1 game, and then there's a retro track involved as well. That is PS4 exclusive content. When No Man's Sky Beyond gets rolled out this summer, that does come with full PSVR support, which is pretty cool. I thought many times over that VR and No Man's Sky seemed like a hand-in-glove kind of fit, right? You compound that with the fact that No Man's Sky is basically just space tourism, the game. Among its many changes that have been rolled out, VR just really seems to be one of the ideal fits for that game. That to me, Next was not enough for me to get back into that. Beyond really wasn't enough for me to get back into No Man's Sky either, but I may give it another shot just for the VR support, just to kind of check it out. I'm not sure. I love the VR stuff. And like I have VR content planned, obviously. I talked about that with PSV Arcade on the stream. I didn't get to that in the summary of announcements earlier, but so I don't know. I could see that being something that we get to, but I'm not 100% sure. Co-op competitive dungeon crawler Ready Set Heroes was announced. So this is couch co-op and local multiplayer, up to 4 players, I think it was, but your teams in a dungeon crawler, and you're basically just trying to get through the dungeons as fast as you can, but it's a procedurally generated random dungeon, and you're in there against another team. So there's like a blue team and a red team, and your goals as both opposing teams is to get through the dungeon as fast as possible, to get power-ups, get loot, and get armed better and what have yous. But then at the end of the dungeon, both teams meet and it becomes an arena brawler. So really cool concept. Ready Set Heroes. I don't remember if that had a date or not. It's escaping me, but that was announced. Sony London's VR game Blood and Truth launches May 28th. Now, if you watch the trailer, it was like Disembodied Hands Simulator. But Blood and Truth, holy shit, that game looks insane. That is good. I think one of those. Like y'all know my love for The Getaway, so you know just my abject love for Sony London Studios. But what I think Blood and Truth brings to the table is a much more realistic VR game. It looked a lot like The Heist, like if The Heist was more fleshed out and fully evolved, and like a kind of a full bore kind of game as opposed to more like a more like microcosmic experience. It's a first person shooter. It's got some heist based stuff. It's an action game, so there's a lot more components to it, and I can't fucking wait to get my teeth into that one. Like Blood and Truth for me is like my next like this is why you want to own a VR, and it's also my like biggest fingers crossed please don't suck game of the year so far. Let's see. Then they announced a next wave of VR games coming in spring and summer of 2019. I'm going to see if I can't pull that up separately. Then Observation. So this is being, I can't remember who is developing this, but it's being published by Devolver. So you already know it has part of my heart, right? It's a sci-fi adventure thriller called Observer. That is coming out to PS4 this May, which I am also very excited about because I need more spooky space sci-fi. It's being developed by No Code. So this one it was originally pitched as 2001: A Space Odyssey, only you play as HAL. So in this game, you're actually playing as the space station, or otherwise known as SAM for Systems Administration and Maintenance. I'm really excited about that one. That one looks really chilling to an extent that I can't describe with actual words. So look at the trailer for Observation. The next wave of games coming in spring and summer, we have Skyworld, which is being developed by Vertigo Games, which is coming out March 26th. It is, let's see, claim command over the VR battlefield, put the power of a full army, even dragons, at your fingertips. The award-winning RTS, it's a real-time and turn-based strategy war game from the creators of Arizona Sunshine, which I did not like from what I saw of that. Falcon Age, coming from Outer Loop Games, is coming April 9th. Falcon Age is a first-person single-player action adventure, which looks pretty cool. Ghost Giant, which is coming from Zoink, that is April 16th, 2019. That is very soon. Become the protector of the lonely little boy Lewis and build his trust by helping him overcome big or even gigantic obstacles in this heartwarming tale. Table of Tales from 10 Man Games is coming April 16th, 2019. Table of Tales is an enchanting role-playing adventure inspired by the nostalgia of classic tabletop games. Jupiter and Mars from Tigertron is coming April 22nd, 2019. This is very much like a particle effect Echo the Dolphin. It's very strange, but visit landmarks as you've never imagined them before while exploring the world, not one, but two bottlenose dolphins, Jupiter and Mars, who have been enlisted by a global network of ancient whales known as the Elders to infiltrate abandoned man-made bases and shut down the remnants of the still-functioning technology that plagues the oceans, rescue sea life trapped in plastics and oil spills, and meet fantastic underwater creatures along the way. Everybody's Golf VR from Clap Hands and Sony Japan is coming May 21st, 2019. That's one that one's pretty self-explanatory. It's Everybody's Golf, but VR, so you're going to buy it, or you're going to have me showing up at your door, knocking at it, wondering why the fuck you didn't buy Everybody's Golf VR. Blood and Truth, we talked about that. That's May 28th. Trover Saves the Universe from Squanch Games, so the same people from Accounting Plus and Rick and Morty Virtual Reality. This is the next game from them. Let's see. Mini Mech Mayhem from Future Lab comes out June 18th. Mini Mech Mayhem is a deeply funny tabletop VR battle game for up to 4 players online. And Vacation Simulator from Alchemy Labs hits the store June 18th. So this is basically Job Simulator, but on vacation. That's my elevator pitch there. Five Nights at Freddy's VR Help Wanted from Steel Wool is coming spring of 2019. That's going to be a big nope from me, unless I don't know. Depends if I want to pee my pants on the internet or not. Gollum is coming from Highwire spring of 2019. Let's see. Gollum, you enter a mysterious storybook world and take the role of Twine, an adventurous kid who has been seriously injured in an accident. Let's see. Luna from Phenomena comes spring of 2019. Let's see. Luna is a storybook fairy tale brought to life, telling a parable of why the moon changes shape after a small red bird swallows up the final sliver in the sky. No Man's Sky Beyond we've talked about, and that was the bulk of the spring and summer VR announcements. Then you have Five Nights at Freddy's. There was a first look at Concrete Genie, which has been pushed from spring to fall. There was a new story trailer for Days Gone. And then there was another trailer for Mortal Kombat 11 called Old School versus New School. And it gets you, there was more character reveals in there as well. So that's I have one tab open. I need to move down for announcements. But yeah, all in all, I know a lot of people, so State of Play has already been said it's going to be episodic, right? So I look at that and I think, okay, this first one was a good test. It was a good barometer. It was a good, like, what can we expect from Sony as we talk about, not E3, away from E3, stepping back. How are they going to manage these announcements? How are they going to still unveil these things? How are they going to talk about their schedule? And clearly they found it. They've lifted from Nintendo Directs. They've lifted from Inside Xbox and found somewhere in the middle. This one was definitely more direct. I loved the format of it. I liked that it was all meat. There's no fat. It was just like announcement, montage of announcement, boom, we're out, 26 minutes. I think the issue stems from the fact that usually we equate Sony and announcements with these paradigm shifting, earth shattering, globe changing like levels, right? Like we expect E3 2016. We expect the Sony that rolled out the PS4, that E3 of 2013. We have these expectations set, and that very reason is why Sony stepped back from E3 this year to be like, look, we can't manage your expectations, so we're just gonna do this piecemeal. And I think that's fair. I think much like Nicolas Cage doing bad movies now, they've earned it. They've paid their dues. They can start kind of doing this shit how they want to do it. Now, the reason I say that these appear to be very divisive is at the time of recording, the direct upload of the stream of the State of Play on YouTube is sitting at 8,000 upvote or 8,000 thumbs up and 9.1 thousand dislikes. So clearly some people are upset. I don't know why. I don't know what they were expecting. But to sit at 9.1 thousand downvotes when you rolled out a dozen and a half, 2 dozen games, most of which weren't previously known, like, I don't know. Now, I think if we had to sit there and go, what did they do wrong? Like, where did this go south for them? I think if you look at the install base of the PS4, at 90-ish million, whatever it's sitting at most recently, you factor in 4.5 million have VRs. So generously, we're saying 3 to 4% of your install base has VR. And if you kind of rethink these announcements I just rattled off, they were almost all VR centric. Even Concrete Genie is going to have a VR mode in it. And while in one aspect, this is Sony coming out and being like, hey, this VR thing, we believe in it. Here's 2 dozen more reasons for you to own one. It also is being like, hey, you other at best 95% that don't have a VR, here is either a reason for you to get one, or you don't know why you're here watching this announcement. And I think it's easy to conflate those two. Where if you don't have a VR, this video may not seem like it was, or these announcements, this direct, this state of play video may not seem like it was targeted for you. It wasn't made for you, and for that you feel ostracized or left out. And I get that, but think of it also as if you're reticent on purchasing a VR because you don't know if it's going to be another 3D TV situation, if it's going to be another Move situation, or if it's going to be another RIP the Vita situation. This was Sony coming out and for 25-ish minutes being like, boom, we're committed, boom, we're committed, boom, we're committed, boom, we're committed. And maybe the announcements weren't what you were looking for. Maybe they weren't up to the expectations you built. That isn't their problem. Their problem is mixing the messages up enough that you don't cut out part of your base. Because there are people that just aren't going to get VR. So for something like this, like, yes, a good chunk of these announcements were pretty useless. But for those of us that have VR, or for those of us that are on the fence for it, for those of us that have it, it's like, hell yeah, like this has got another year plus worth of support. This is clearly going to be a generational thing. Like, we are at the first stage of it, and it's just going to get better. And Sony is all in on this. And then to the people that are on the fence, they very well could have watched that and been like, oh, cool. Like, yeah, I'm going to do that. That looks great. Now I'm convinced Sony is committed. But like I said, to the people that don't have one, that aren't going to get one, this was 26 minutes of content and really not for them. So I think mixing it up a little bit more, I think some people may have mixed some messages up because there were some other changes that had come out that we'll get to here shortly. One of them being, you can get a year's worth of PS Now for $60. Normally that's $100. Now, so they marked it down to $60. Whether that's a deal or whether that is a temporary sale, no one has said. But the fact that it was marked down hours, just a mere amount of hours before State of Play went live, people thought like, oh, they're going to start making PS Plus streaming, or they're going to do this. It's going to be this infrastructural change. And it wasn't any of that. Like, I think this one was good to going forward set expectations. It sets a bar. It sets a pretty good average medium-sized bar for them to jump over. So if the next one comes up in however many months or whenever they do the next one and they come under from the previous one, people will be like, all right, yeah, like I wasn't expecting a whole lot this time around based off the last one. This one kind of lived up to it, or like came under. It's whatever. But it also gives them that room that if they want to or have the capabilities of blowing the fucking just doors off this thing and building up like low expectations to knock something out of the park. Now, will they? I don't work for Sony. That's why I'm in a basement doing a podcast. But when you look at this, it felt like they were swimming in that point in the pool where it's not the shallow end, but it's not the deep end, but your feet don't touch the floor anymore. That's kind of where this one felt. It's like the spot where everybody pees in the pool, right? That's kind of where that one just kind of felt like it was hanging out. And that's not a bad thing. You're setting the barometer, you're setting the temperature to be like, this is how the water's going to feel. Yes, we can make it colder. Yes, we can make it hotter. But for now, this is where we're at. Sorry, ? If it wasn't what you were expecting. But for me, for not going into this, I think Iron Man VR is cool. We'll see how it does. I mean, I have trust in Marvel games. They clearly look like they give a shit, which is, I think, very important when you're dealing with licensed properties. But then also, you look at stuff like Five Nights at Freddy's. You look at Ghost Giant. You look at Concrete Genie. All those other games they announced. You look at Observer, and yeah, they're not big AAA heavy hitters, but they have a good pedigree to them. They have that backing behind them. They have that just enough to be like, maybe I'll check that out. Maybe it'll be when it's, $9-12 on sale or whatever, but like, they exist. They're now in your mind. And it's a lot of stuff that for me, I'm like, I didn't really think that would be a thing. Like, I didn't think Five Nights at Freddy in VR would be a thing. I thought No Man's Sky VR would have been a thing a couple years ago. but it's at the point now where it's like, okay, like they are trying to make VR a thing, and maybe this was just too much of that. But either way, a lot of announcements, a lot of things to be excited about. Whether it's your kind of thing or not, you kind of gotta roll with it as you do. But I thought it was fine. I loved the setup. I loved the format of it. I would love more announcements like that, whether it's monthly, bi-monthly twice a month, or bi-monthly every other month, quarterly, however they want to do it. I think that this really it sets the tone, I think, for what to expect going forward from Sony, at least until this generation fully sunsets. And even then, we might start getting more cross-promotional stuff that's a mix of this direct style and what we're used to at E3 and things like that. We're going to stick with the PlayStation blog for a second. Since PAX East is this week while you're listening to it, if you're headed to PAX East and you want to know what PlayStation is up to, Francis Mao, director of events at SIE, has an article up on the PlayStation blog called PlayStation at PAX East. Here's what we're up to. Let's see. PlayStation delivers its most dynamic booth ever with 5,000 square feet of PlayStation fun and entertainment for fans at PAX East 2019. The booth is a virtual wonderland of games and fun that is an event unto itself. You could easily spend the entire show enjoying everything it has to offer with 27 different game titles on over 80 game stations. Days Gone will be there. Let's see. Days Gone is one of the featured games this year, offering you a chance to play the post-apocalyptic adventure thriller before its release on April 26th. You'll also get to experience the world of Days Gone in real life as you encounter an 8-foot-tall Rager Bear, pose for a picture on Deacon's bike, and even get a selfie with Deacon himself or amidst the ominous hanging Freaker Meatwall. Freaker Meatwall was my nickname in high school. Most exciting of all will be the pin of live freakers guarding the entrance to the Days Gone experience. Let's see. You can also you'll also be eligible to get a free exclusive Days Gone patch if you complete the demo while supplies last. The PlayStation Gear Store makes its first ever appearance at PAX East with 17 exclusive PlayStation, Days Gone, and Dreams themed collectibles. Products range from Days Gone t-shirts and apparel to collector's pins, including the sought-after Penny Expo Days Gone pin and the cuddly stuffed Days Gone Freaker teddy bear. There's something for everyone. Be sure to stop by and shop early because supplies are extremely limited. Fans of Dreams can get in-depth, hands-on preview time with the game, and you'll have PlayStation reps at your side every step of the way. We will have regular presentations by Dream developers, sharing special insight into the making of and inside details of this incredible game. There's also a contest for exclusive Dreams prizes for those that play the demos. Spring training is in full swing and the new baseball season has just started. That also means there's a new PlayStation MLB game for you all to enjoy, so stop by and take a swing or two at MLB The Show 19. PSVR continues to amaze and delight. For those who have yet to experience the joy of virtual reality or seek to check out new PSVR game experiences, we will have 8 demos set up, including Vacation Simulator and Trover Saves the Universe. Please note that we will be using the PlayStation app to reserve demo times for the PSVR stations, and in order to guarantee that everyone has a fair chance to play, download the PlayStation app for iOS or Android in advance and get those reservations in. Crash Team Racing Nitro Field will also be there. Let's see here. PlayStation is excited to be joining forces with eMLS for the eMLS Cup 2019 presented by PlayStation, where you can watch the best FIFA 19 pros in North America represent their MLS clubs and compete for $15,000. And so here's the list of titles you will be able to play at PAX East. Bloodroots, which looks awesome. Bloodroots is like a Hotline Miami-ish game where you try to complete the levels as fast as possible. So there's like a time attack kind of method to it. So there's like a within friends competitiveness to it. If you're a Kind of Funny fan, it was the most recent episode of Party Mode if you're a non-Patreon supporter. So if you're a Patreon supporter, it was the episode that went up last week. If you're not, it's the episode that went up this week. This is why I don't put stuff behind a paywall. I can't keep up with stuff like that. So Bloodroots will be there, Control will be there, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, Days Gone, Dragon Quest Builders 2, Dreams, Falcon Age, Heaven's Vault, Jupiter and Mars, Knights and Bikes, Layers of Fear 2, Luna, MLB The Show 19, Mortal Kombat 11, Mutazione, Indivisible, Overland, Rad, Trover Saves the Universe, and Watam. And then for PSVR stuff, you will be able to play Ghost Giant, Gollum, Falcon Age, Jupiter and Mars, Space Channel 5, VR, Kinda Funky Newsflash, Trover Saves the Universe, and Vacation Simulator. So if you're headed to PAX East, that's all the PlayStation news. So this was a weird week of announcements. It was a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff happened between the last 7 days. The biggest one, I guess, being the announcement of Google Stadia. So you've heard me talk about Project Stream. Jesus. I'm like, what was that thing I always talk about with Assassin's Creed Odyssey? You've heard me talk about Project Stream and how well it worked and things like that. So the next step in that, what apparently I was beta testing, was the Google Stadia, which is Google's all streaming service. Now, if you go and Google Stadia and click the Google Stadia link from Google at the Google Store, all you have is the Stadia logo, and then it says the future of gaming is not a box. Introducing Stadia, a new gaming platform from Google for playing AAA video games across all kinds of screens. And then you can sign up for updates. Game where you want, when you want, play across multiple devices, including laptops, desktops, and select phones and tablets. You can also, new ways to play through YouTube and beyond. Go from watching a video to playing a game in seconds, with even more innovative experiences to come for select games. Up to 4K HDR at 60 FPS, and they talked about the capability of it going to 8K as well. They're kind of like future-proofing that. Play instantly, no updates, no downloads, jump right into the game. Stadia's cloud-based infrastructure evolves to meet the demands of players, developers, and YouTube creators. So they went through, it was a whole 45-minute, hour-long kind of keynote. So that was theirs. That was their last week. I'm just going to rattle off a few of these, just to kind of talk about this dystopian society we live in currently. Or at least they're setting up for ourselves. Then friend of the show, Colin Stevens, has an article on IGN talking about Apple Arcade, which was Apple's game subscription service being announced. So Apple has officially announced a game subscription service called Apple Arcade during today's special event in the Steve Jobs Theater. So let's see here. We're going to go through all of it. So as revealed during the announcement event, Apple Arcade is a single subscription with access to over 100 new and exclusive games, with more to be added. It will be available in fall of 2019 in 150 countries and regions. The price structure and more details will come at a later date. So let's see. We're going to go through the Apple Arcade games here. Apple Arcade will feature new and original games from legendary creators like Hironobu Sakugachi, Ken Wong, and Will Wright, and studios included Annapurna Interactive, Balsa Studios, Cartoon Network, Finji, Giant Squid, Klee Entertainment, Konami, Lego, Mistwalker Corporation, Sega, Snowman, and more. Final Fantasy's Hironobu Sakugachi called Fantasians, quote, a game that shouldn't exist. Every day is a challenge, creating gaming worlds by hand. We are building dioramas, photographing them, and adding 3D characters. I'm a little scared of how many sets we're going to have to build in the end, end quote. Apple Arcade will be a new area on the App Store, and subscribers will be able to download and play any Apple Arcade game from the App Store. Games can be played across iPhone, iPad, Mac, and Apple TV, and users can even pick up where they left off on any applicable device. It was also announced Apple TV is going to start being available on Samsung and Sony TVs. I don't know. You'd have to look that up. Correct me there. I don't remember off the top of my head everything else. Then let's see. Apple Arcade games can't collect any data on its users without consent. It will feature family sharing, curation, and more. Quote, "The App Store is the world's biggest and most successful game platform. Now we're going to take games even further with Apple Arcade, the first game subscription service for mobile, desktop, and the living room," said Apple's Phil Schiller. "We are working with some of the most innovative game developers in the world to create over 100 new and exclusive games to play across iPhone, iPad, Mac, and Apple TV. Apple Arcade games will be great for families, respect user privacy, and will not have ads or require any additional purchases. We think players of all ages are going to love Apple Arcade." Now, what's not mentioned here is Apple Arcade will also be paying developers based on how long their games are played, so they're going to be paid out based on time spent in the game, which is incredibly predatory and incredibly very just single focused on being like okay, best way I can put this is the why I don't like it. It's so, let's say that was the case across all platforms, case across PS4, Xbox One, PC, whatever. We'll use Steam as the barometer here. So PUBG comes out on Steam, and everybody's playing battle royale games. Everybody's sinking their teeth in. So Tencent and Bluehole and PUBG Corp are all just raking in this dough because everybody's the retention time on PUBG is through the roof. So then Epic comes out and they bring out Fortnite. Now everybody's moving from Fortnite, but the retention's still high, so they're getting paid. So then Apex comes out. Now everybody's playing in Apex. Blackout comes out. Everybody's in Blackout. What this does is if you're enticing developers to get paid out based off user retention and playtime, you are encouraging a very myopic game space. You are encouraging one genre. You are encouraging almost a more utilitarian kind of rule of genre, where it is just this, okay, like unilaterally, we know this one kind of game gets a player base. It'd be like if every game was Clash Royale, or if every game was Candy Crush, or if every game was Angry Birds. Like, you're encouraging a very, like I said, a very myopic worldview on game genres. You're discouraging going against the grain. You're discouraging what makes mobile games and indie games so, like, you know, wonderful and beautiful. Stuff like Ding Dong XL can exist. Stuff like Reign's Game of Thrones can exist. In the same space that stuff like Florence and Donut County can exist. In the same space that stuff like Angry Birds and Fortnite Mobile can exist. Like, you're discouraging new developments, new steps, and new styles of games, I guess is really what I'm getting at. So I don't like that. The other thing I don't like, and I don't like it so much, I'm not going to talk about it beyond just saying that this is a thing. Walmart apparently wants to start a gaming streaming service. Now, what this brings to me in terms of calling attention to is, at what point will we be just paying more for subscription services than we were for just one single service like cable? At what point will our Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Stars, HBO, Showtime, Cinemax subscriptions all just total more than what we were paying for cable that we can't get a la carte? And the same goes for games. At what point will our Xbox Game Pass on our discless Xbox One and our Stadia subscription, and that's the thing about Stadia, is we don't know. All we saw was a controller for Stadia. It's clearly not a box, because the future of games is not a box. It says right there. It's going to be a subscription service. It almost has to be, or it's going to be some sort of HDMI based another Chromecast kind of deal. But at what point do our total subscriptions, do our, you know, if you have PS Now, if you have Game Pass, if you have Stadia, if you have Apple Arcade, if you have Walmart's Walrus streamer, it's, at what point does all of that total more than the sum of its parts? At what point are you throwing money away at something you may not need? At what point will convenience reign supreme? At what point will one win out of this? Will one win out of this, or will they all just kind of seed back into their caves and be like, oh, that didn't work? The problem I have with an all streaming future, I think, is the same problem a lot of people have. One, I don't like things being painted as a tunnel visioned single solution, that this is the future and fuck you if you're against it. I don't like that. I don't like being the old man at the table. Is really what it comes down to. I don't like feeling like I'm aging out of something. Where, it's, am I out of touch? No, the children are wrong. I don't like feeling like that. And that's more of a me issue, and I acknowledge that. Going a step further, I am fortunate enough to live in the Midwest where there aren't data caps and we have pretty good internet. I have if it's hardwired, I usually rock about 225 up or 225 down, 80 to 120 up, which is great, especially for what we pay for it. It's nice. But then you get into more rural areas where, there are places like, okay, so anecdotally, Alex is going to spin you a yarn here. Just keep with me. It's a walk. Pack a lunch. When my wife and I moved in together for the first time, it makes it sound like we've lived together off and on. When we moved into our apartment together, we had a choice of one of two internet service providers in our area. Now, one provider was rolling out a fiber network that wasn't available everywhere, but they also had their DSL cable, system too. The other one was straight cable DSL. So option A, they both had really bad customer service. First off, option A was cheaper, but the fiber wasn't available where our apartment building was. So our best bet was 5 megabytes down. I think it was like 5 or 6. It was this paltry, almost like just, I don't know, famished. It was just like this. I just felt famished hearing that number. I'm like, oh, I'm hungry for more data, please. The other company could roll through, and for a little bit more, for I think like $15 more, we could get 20. We could get up to, I think, 60, but for what we were willing to pay, we could have 20 megabytes down. Now, that company A has rolled out their fiber network, and for what we were paying for 20, we're getting 250. And then the other, it's causing this kind of like arms race between the two companies, where like now I'm getting letters and phone calls a lot. Like, do you want to upgrade to 500 for the same price? I'm like, not to deal with you. I don't, because that's a whole other thing. That's not really meant for here. But then you get into areas. I mean, this is right down the street from where we live now. Was where I could only get 5 megabytes down from the company that's now giving us 250. Now you take that, you extrapolate that, and you move it to like a Hoisington, Kansas, or you move it to like a Bozeman, Montana, or another town in a state that lives on mountain time. And or you factor in out on the like the more coastal areas where there's data caps. Like, it's not entirely conducive for an all streaming world to exist. Like, you're looking at higher bills. You're looking at net neutrality running interference. Like, what if, Google starts paying more to have Stadia get more bandwidth than a Wal-Mart or a Game Pass? There's all these outlying variables that aren't being totally considered outside of at the consumer level. Like, these companies are just coming out and going like, streaming, and it's like, yes, in your ivory tower of infinite bandwidth, sure, sounds great. But then input lag, you factor in the fact that the Stadia press conference started with the CEO of Google going, to be honest, I'm not a big gamer. And it kind of just makes you wonder, like, what the fuck are you doing? But that's not how you start. That's like if I walked out. That's like if I were like, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the PlayStation Forecast. I like Xbox, so let's talk. Like, it seems it's like such a counterintuitive measure. And it seems like a step that is more for like 2021 or 2023. Like, it doesn't seem like it's a 2019 idea, but parts of the internet are still in 2006. So that's where I'll leave that. I think the streaming future is unavoidable. I think it is something that we have to grip, we have to accept, and we have to deal with, and we have to move on. Do I think we're in the throes of the death of physical media? No, I don't. I am slowly becoming more of a digital person because I don't like clutter, but that's a me thing. I I think about it and I'm like, are we there yet? And we are, but I think many of us as an industry we are, as a consumer base we are not. And I mean, prime examples. You see people talk about the Scott Pilgrim game. We see people talk about PT. Like there are digital games that people played and paid for. Or in Scott Pilgrim's case, paid for and PT downloaded, and loved. That if they've deleted them, they can't access them anymore. And it's just like, yeah, cool. Like, all right, nope, that's it. Your money's gone. Granted, it's like been 10 years, but your money's gone. And so there's like that. There's the whole licensing aspect of it. It's all, I feel like 60% of a great idea that somebody, if you've ever cooked noodles, if you've ever cooked noodles and you don't know if the noodles are done, you can take the noodles, not in with your hands because the water is boiling, but scoop them up with a spoon, let them cool a little bit. Then you can take them with your hands and throw them against the wall. And if they stick to the wall, they're actually cooked and you're good. And you can strain that pot and you've got noodles. I feel like someone came by, grabbed a handful of noodles, grabbed 10 noodles, threw them against the wall, 6 of them stuck, the other 4 went down, and they said, serve the whole pot. And we're not there yet. I don't think this is a fully cooked idea. We'll see. Stadia is supposed to launch in 2019. Walmart's Walrus time has a date on it. I don't know if that idea just felt so preposterous and ignorant to me that I skipped it. But looking at, and that's on me, but looking at Apple's, like that's the thing that's coming, and like all this stuff is just, this is where we're at, and everybody is competing for the same mind share that is inevitably going to, I think, eat themselves from the outside in. Streaming future. Next news. This is a long one. This is a meaty episode. Detroit Become Human, Heavy Rain, and Beyond Two Souls are coming to PC this year. The 3 most recent games from French studio Quantic Dream, Detroit Become Human, Beyond Two Souls, and Heavy Rain are all PlayStation exclusives at the moment. This is from Polygon, from Samit Sarkar. Almost didn't do my own journalistic duty to cite my source. But they're on their way to Windows PC with the help of Epic Games. The company's announced Wednesday at the 2019 Games Developer Conference. PC ports of all 3 games are scheduled to be released, quote, later this year, end quote, and each one will be sold exclusively in the Epic Games Store for 1 year. Quantic Dream said in a news release, the company, quote, partnered with, end quote, Epic to bring the titles to PC, according to the announcement. It's unclear if Epic is funding the development of the PC versions or if the company merely paid for the timed exclusive on the distribution arrangement. We've asked the companies for comment and will update the article with any information we receive. The news comes as no great shock. In January, Quantic Dream announced that it had taken an investment from Chinese internet company NetEase for a minority stake in the studio. At the time, Quantic Dream executives said they would take their future projects to multiple platforms, suggesting that the company's long-running exclusive partnership with Sony had come to an end. The wording in Wednesday's announcement underscored that, quote, we are so grateful for the 12 fantastic years of collaboration with Sony Interactive Entertainment and all they have allowed us to create and produce, said Quantic Dream co-CEO Guillaume de Fondemir. The quote continues, with this new partnership with Epic, we can now expand our products to a wider fan base and allow PC players to enjoy our titles, end quote. Sony published all 3 of the PlayStation exclusive games, but Quantic Dream is an independent studio, and it appears that the developer retains ownership of the intellectual property for its games. Otherwise, Sony would have to agree to the PC versions. Neither Quantic Dream nor Sony responded to requests for comment regarding their publishing arrangement. So in a way, this isn't too surprising. I mean, we've seen it with Neo, and we've seen it with a couple other publishers that are escaping me currently. But Sony doesn't seem to have a problem with their exclusive games ending up on PC eventually. Quantic Dream, clearly no different. I used Neo as an example earlier. I just thought it was interesting because we kind of free associate so many studios as PlayStation exclusives beyond the console space, right? Just in totality, unilaterally exclusive to PlayStation. And we're drifting further away from that, right? We're seeing supermassive publishing or developing games being published by Bandai Namco. We're now seeing Quantic Dream having an Epic Game Store exclusivity for a year on PC. We're seeing Neo come to PC. So it's not shocking. I think Quantic Dream was kind of one of the more like, ooh, right in the gut kind of punches, from an exclusive sense. But those games are very divisive, and it seems like it's very 50-50. However you feel about David Cage typically plays a role in how you feel about the Quantic Dream games, as well as their heavy-handedness and very on-the-nose analogies that they like to draw about various worldviews and social issues. But there you go. If for some reason you've held out and you're listening to a PlayStation podcast as a PC gamer, cool. That's awesome. And also, you can have Quantic Dream games soon. Over at Destructoid, Chris Carter has an article. Death Stranding has progressed to the point where Kojima is playing it daily. I just threw this in here. I don't really have much to expand beyond that, outside of the fact that Death Stranding is not coming in 2019, so just keep your pants on. Death Stranding is still a project that exists, as director, producer, designer, and co-writer Hideo Kojima frequently likes to remind us on Twitter amid many amazing hangout sessions with his cast and crew. This latest update is actually development related, though. Based on a translated Twitter post, Kojima notes that although the game is not in the debug stage, it is coming along to the point where it feels like an interconnected game. Excuse me. I did not mean to do that. One can actually sit down and play. A point he proves, he notes, by actually playing it every day on PS4 hardware. Kojima says that Death Stranding is now in the, quote, critical phase, end quote, of development, which can only take to mean that the narrative elements are done, and now his team has to readjust and balance gameplay. Death Stranding was announced back in 2016 at Sony's E3 conference. The publisher won't have one this year, so maybe we'll get more info out of the State of Play Nintendo Direct-like streams. So there's that. Let's see. Kind of new games and dates. Actually, we're going to bump this article ahead of the one I was going to go to. This article comes from Mike Williams at usgamer.net, where Sony is no longer providing PlayStation Store game codes to retailers, and this story has an update. So, update. A Sony spokesperson has provided US Gamer with a statement confirming the change in policy. Okay, quote, "We can confirm that as of April 1st, 2019, Sony Interactive Entertainment will no longer offer full games through SIE's Global Digital at Retail program. This decision was made in order to continue to align key businesses globally. To support full games and premium editions, SIE will introduce increased denominations at select retailers. DLC, add-ons, virtual currency, and season passes will still be available," said the spokesperson. In an odd shift of policy, Sony Interactive Entertainment will apparently no longer allow retailers worldwide to sell PlayStation Network game codes. Currently, you can buy digital PSN game codes on other retailers and then redeem them on the PlayStation Store. The tweet came out via Warrior64, which was a full-text statement that was sent to GameStop that somebody sent to him because everyone wants to be an internet hero, and then he tweeted it out. Seriously, I cannot stress this enough. As a former GameStop employee, don't tweet that shit. Don't take photos of it. Stop taking photos of the marketing. Stop trying to leak stuff to IGN so you can be the guy. Do you ever notice you don't really get credit for it and instead you get fired? Just saying. I've seen too many people get canned for doing dumb shit like that. Cut it out. Let someone else leak it. Don't put your job on the line because you want to be cool. Anyways, starting April 1st, you will no longer be able to purchase game codes outright. From retailers. You can still do the cards, like the dollar cards, with expanded denominations in cash, as well as, or value, not cash, as well as DLC and stuff like that. But you're actually being able to go to the PO, the point of sale at a GameStop or a Best Buy or on Amazon and being like, can I get a digital code for Horizon Zero Dawn, and then being like, boop, 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 print the receipt and be like, there you go, and taking home, redeem the code, download the game. That is no more. That will be no more as of April 1st. If I had to guess the reason why, I don't know. If I'm trying to spin it as a consumer-friendly thing, there are many times that what is on sale, actually, there are not many times, there is almost every time that something is on sale on the PlayStation Store, it is not on sale at said retailer. So if you go and you buy a code for Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition for $20 and it's on sale at the store for $10, you're going to pay $20 at GameStop. Period. Like, that's just it. So I think there's that sort of conflict there too. Just from my experience, there was one time I went to the store I worked at. I was like, can I get a code for Shank 2? I bought a code for Shank 2, got an email literally as I left the parking lot being like, Shank 2 is this month's PS Plus game. So fuck you, Alex. But that's where we're at. I don't really know why. I don't know if it's to keep the purchases in-house, so GameStop's not buying codes to sell codes to recoup the money. Maybe it's to cut out the middleman. However, that's the case. If you still don't feel safe letting your credit card number be saved on your account, I totally understand. The network seems more secure than it's ever been, but there still are that risks, and I get that. So you still will have the capabilities of going to a Best Buy, of going to a GameStop, purchasing a $20 PlayStation Network card, and then redeeming the code there, then buying the game you want. But they are clearly cutting out the middleman in terms of outright game sales. Some announcements. I want to pull one up on my phone real fast because I didn't get it pulled up here in time. Actually, before we do new games and dates, let's do some listener mail. We got one in from Robert, who reached out to me on Twitter, like you can, at twitter.com/pressx2alex or at psforums.pressx2alex.com. And so he said, if I had 10 must-have games that to be remastered for PS1 and PS2 that haven't been remastered by newer generations, what would they be? He tossed out Dino Crisis, which I thought was good, so I didn't use Dino Crisis. Now, he asked 10 for PS1 and 10 for PS2. I didn't want to do that. I did 5 each because, especially once you get deeper into the PS2 library, there are a lot that have been touched already, whether on PS3 or on PS4, and we're starting to see it a bit more with PS1. So what I did was my factors. They could not have been remastered on PS2, or not PS2. They could not have been remastered on PS3. So that rules out Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. That rules out, obviously, Ico, Shadow of Colossus, things like that. They could not be remastered on PS4. So that rules out stuff like Crash, Spyro, and then things like that, obvious stuff that's already come out. The other thing I factored into it was I didn't want to pull from frequently or recently updated franchises. So as much as I would love to see an HD rebuild of Tekken 3, we're still getting Tekken games. So I was trying to find dormant franchises that have not been remastered on PS3 or PS4. So here we go. For PS1, my number one pick was Metal Gear Solid. I did not factor in Twin Snakes because it did not meet my criteria for what I was looking for. I think Metal Gear Solid is in desperate need of a facelift. I think getting a prettier version of that in 2019, 2020, something like that, would be an absolute boon for that masterpiece. The next one I picked was Siphon Filter. I think it's time. I think it's time we get a new Siphon Filter game. It doesn't necessarily need to be Ben working on it, but I would love to see an HD remaster of Siphon Filter because I think enough time has passed. And that was another thing, is enough time has passed for you to do to Ratchet and Clank it, to do a remaster of the first game, but kind of also a retooling, revisioning of it. Then Ape Escape, I would fucking love to see that. I think that game would just excel and thrive on the current console generations. I think you give that music an overhaul, you give the VO, then the voice acting an overhaul, and other than that, I mean, that game was the first fully dual analog game, right? Like that was it. That has modern controls in a game from 99, 2000 ish, but that was the first game that required you to have the DualShock. So I think taking that, adapting that, putting like a little bit of modernity to it. I mean, I think Ape Escape could do very well today. Next one was Silent Hill. I think it did a really good job of, when it was released, mastering its technical limitations with like the draw distance, with using the fog, much better than Superman 64 did, as well as Silent 4 is creepy, and a lot of people do prefer Silent Hill 2, but Silent Hill has that uneasiness to it with the fog and uses its environment really well. And like I said, it took a great advantage of its technical limitations. The next one was Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. Now, in an era where Metroidvanias and neo-goth art styles are so popular, the fact that we don't have a remaster or a retelling or something new in the Soul Reaver Legacy of Kain franchise is straight bullshit. Like, just, we need one. That game screams this console generation. That game screams being along the same lines as a Bloodborne or the Souls games or Dead Cells. Like, there's so many Metroidvania games that are out now, and there's so many games that incorporate this, gothic architecture style with its art and things like that. Legacy of Kain was all of that before that. It was that combination of those two things before that was the zeitgeist, before that was mainstream. And 20 years ago, it was still really good. So I think that's something that could easily be revisited. Moving to PS2, I think if you're going to take full advantage of bright, vibrant, cel-shaded comic book art styles with like super fun combat in an era where Capcom is killing it, you got to bring back Beautiful Joe. Full stop. I don't have anything else to say about that. Bring back Beautiful Joe, because that shit would pop in 2019. Next one, this is probably the biggest stretch for me in terms of meeting my criteria, but I would love to see Need for Speed reset back to doing new underground games. I think that combination of car upgrades and street racing, I think you put that in a shared world, like with stuff being like the shared world games, right? Like you take something like an existing world the way Burnout Paradise had, and you apply, as opposed to trying just to decimate people, you apply street races, rally races, stuff like that, like strip races. And with that sort of Tokyo Drift, Fast and the Furious vibe, I think there is a market for that people are pining for. Next one was recently picked up by THQ Nordic, but I would love to see Time Splitters 2, or just Time Splitters in general, have another shot. I think with the need for couch co-op and then online gaming being what it is today, I think Time Splitters would be awesome. Next one, no surprise if you've listened to the show before, but The Getaway. I've spoke so much about The Getaway and what I think made The Getaway so good. To see Sony London maybe have the opportunity to go back to that, I think would be awesome, especially given a more modern facelift and given what Rockstar has been able to do with that genre with GTA. I think applying that back to The Getaway would be awesome. Now, the last one. Another drink of water. Your audio didn't go out. The last one I picked was Gitaru Man. Now, in a time where I just go out of my way to shit talk rhythm-based games outside of ye olde Beat Sabre, Gitaru Man would kill now. So you're taking this Taiko Drum Master kind of style of gameplay, the rhythm-based stuff. So if you've never seen Gitaru Man, I pulled up a DualShock here. So your screen when you're doing combat is split up into quadrants. Those quadrants are triangle, X, square, and circle. Yes, you can see. If you're watching the video version, I'm holding up a DualShock. Now, you split that up, and as it's coming through the quadrants, north, south, east, and west, it's triangles north, circle is coming from the east, X is south, square is west, and they're moving in, and it's all rhythm sync. You're just mashing the buttons as they come in. Now, that's a lot of defense stuff, and that's also can work for attack. Now, what makes it cool and what makes it different is you use the analog sticks when you have the guitar to actually bend notes and do like shredding and things like that you would do with an electric guitar. So it's that rhythm-based stuff with that edge to it, that thing that sets it apart. So you're not just like X, circle, triangle, X, square, triangles, X, triangle, X, circle, square. It's that stuff plus using the analog sticks as a mechanic to bend notes and do more stuff like that. And you're following a path. So you may have a line that comes, south and moves up and then kind of bends around, and you actually do that with the analog stick and match that motion. I think Guitar Man has a place in this world, as whether it's a facelift and you do what they did with Loco Roco and Patapon. I think you could do with Guitar Man and have a good audience for it. Those were my 10. Let me know what your 10 are if you're listening to the video, or if you're watching the video version, put it in the comments. I would love to know what 10 games from PS1 and PS2 era you'd love to see remastered that haven't already been done. Thank you, Robert, for writing in. And remember, listener mail this time has been sponsored by patreon.com/pressx2alex. Yes, that's right. I started a Patreon for the show. So if you want to support the PlayStation Forecast and the YouTube endeavors and the streams and things like that, you can. I've only set up a $1 tier. No paywall, no content being gated behind Patreon, anything like that. And if at any point the monthly payouts go over $100, I will take 10% of that and donate it immediately to Cincinnati Children's via Extra Life. So that's patreon.com/pressx2alex. Again, thank you, Robert, to writing in. You can reach me on twitter.com/pressx2alex like Robert did, or write in to psforms.pressx2alex.com. New games and dates. The one I initially was pulling up in the first place was Lord of the Rings Gollum was announced. It's coming out for PC and all relevant consoles at the time of release. So take that for what it's worth. Remedy Games Control is coming out August 27th of this year. And then at GDC, there were 4 new Spike Chunsoft announcements. AI, the Somnium Files worldwide release will be July 25th with the Special Agent Edition. Crystar is coming. Crystar : out is it Crystar : Crystar? Okay, it's just Crystar. It's coming out on PS4 in the West August 27th. Fire Pro Wrestling World Suda 51 DLC has been planned, but we still don't have our Super Juniors on there. What the fuck? And Zankai Zero Last Beginning gets a free demo March 26th. But that's the stuff that's coming out later. If you want to know the stuff that's coming out now, we need to do the drop. Now, I have a special setup for the drop. If you're watching the video version, I'm going to show it to you. It's very incomplete because I'm running on a separate computer and the display is not synced up. But the drop's going to look like this going forward, where the releases are going to be in that top window there. So peek behind the curtain of things to come once I have that sorted out. But let's go back. So here is the drop. Remember, these dates are all for the North American PSN store and are subject to change without notice. Angry Birds VR Isle of Pigs comes to PSVR Digital. Join Red, Chuck, Bomb, and the Blues to save the stolen eggs in Angry Birds VR Isle of Pigs, an immersive VR adventure. Discover the remote island where the greedy green pigs take their vacation in 50-plus fun-filled levels with more to come. Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered comes to PS4 Digital and Retail March 29th. Relive the American Revolution or experience it for the first time with enhanced graphics and improved gameplay mechanics. Plus, Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation Remastered and all solo DLC content are included free in the Assassin's Creed Odyssey Season Pass. Block-A-Pix Deluxe comes to PS4 and PS Vita Digital Cross-Buy. Block-A-Pix is a block-filling logic puzzle where every grid has a picture hidden inside. Reveal the picture by dividing the grid into smaller rectangular blocks to create a colorful mosaic. If you like Picross games, you'll love Block-A-Pix. Cave Digger Riches comes to PSVR Digital March 25th. Cave Digger is a virtual reality mining game set in an alternate Western universe. Jump into the elevator that will take you deep down into the mine. Explore the rich veins that are just waiting for the honest hard workers to whack their pickaxes at. Counterfight comes to PSVR Digital March 29th. Enjoy the thrills of running your own ramen shop. Counterfight is a fast-paced VR game where you cook and serve a variety of dishes to eccentric, hungry customers. Dracula's Legacy comes to PS4 digital March 28th and is the frontrunner for worst cover art of the week. Haunted by frightening dreams about her forgotten past, Isabella and her fiancé travel to an old ghost town. The only clue to her origins that she has been able to dredge from her lost memories. The End is Nigh comes to PS4 digital March 29th. Follow Ash, one of the few things that have survived the end of the world. Feel his stress levels rise as you throw him into an endless swarm of decaying mutant creatures and aid his final epic quest to simply make a friend. Generation Zero comes to PS4 digital and retail. A once peaceful rural setting transformed overnight, the local population has disappeared and machines of unknown origin roam the streets. Explore the vast open world to unravel the mystery, perfect your fighting strategies, and strike back. Gods Remastered comes to PS4 digital March 29th. Join the nameless warrior on a dangerous journey through 4 worlds to defeat the great guardians who have stolen the homes of the gods. As a reward, you will receive immortality and a place in the Eternal Hall of Fame. Infernal Climber Reborn comes to PS4 digital March 28th. Long ago, there were 5 purgatory stones that brought order to the world. However, the power of the stones was spread too thin, and weak-minded individuals rose to dominate the world. Defeat powerful bosses to collect all 5 purgatory stones in hell. Legendary 11 comes to PS4 digital March 29th. Legendary 11 is an epic arcade football game inspired by the golden age of football spanning the 70s to the 90s. Choose from 36 teams full of glorious haircuts, mustaches, and legends in short shorts. Lead them to glory and win the World Cup. The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel comes to PS4 digital and retail. The definitive JRPG experience makes its way to PS4 for the first time, as Reen Schwarzer followed the activities of Thor's Military Academy's Specialized Class 7, with added features not found in any previous console releases. Metagal comes to PS4 and PS Vita digital and cross-buy. This is Metagal, Metagal, not like I met. Well, it's spelled like I met a gal, but Metagal as one word. Metagal is a classic jump and shoot style platformer with 16-bit graphics, 8 levels to complete, and unlockable new characters to play, with each come with their own powers and upgrades. So it's like Mega Man, but Metagal. MLB The Show 19 comes to PS4 digital and retail and is my game of the week. Play America's pastime your way with new game modes, expanded team building, and player customization, and an extensive personalized RPG experience. Create your own player or play against others as baseball's greatest stars and legends. Nelky and the Legendary Alchemist comes to PS4 digital and retail. An Atelier town built together with legendary alchemists, this title represents a new milestone in the evolution of the series, marking their 20th anniversary combining town management simulation and RPG genres. Outward comes to PS4 digital and retail. Outward is an open-world RPG where the cold of the night or an infected wound can be as dangerous as a predator lurking in the dark. Explore the vast world of RI, and whatever you do, don't forget your backpack. Path of Exile comes to PS4 digital. Earn devastating skills and valuable interns as you fight your way through the dark continent of Rareclast. With unrivaled character customization, Path of Exile is an online action RPG created by hardcore gamers for hardcore gamers. Holy shit. Farlap Horse Racing Challenge comes to PS4 digital. This is the worst cover art of the week. Experience the thrill and thunder of racing with the pride and prestige of building your own stable of champions. Cinematic graphics showcase realistic horses and capture the action of the race with motion-captured animations. The Princess Guide comes to PS4 digital and retail. Become an instructor and guide 4 princesses on the path to becoming great leaders. Guide your princesses with praise, or scold to make them stronger, happier, and ultimately a worthy heir to the throne. Sun comes to PS4 digital out March 28th. Sun is an epic psychological horror game set in modern day. Robert Alderson is searching for his son, Jay, who went missing deep in the Pennsylvania... It says Pennsylvania, Pinson. I was just fucking with you. Deep in the Pennsylvania forest. A parent's love for their child is deep, but does a parent's love for their child conquer fear? 7 Enhanced Edition comes to PS4 digital. 7 Enhanced Edition is an open-world isometric stealth and action role-playing game in which you play as Tyrael, a master thief sent on a mission that will shake the foundation of the Vetrel Empire. Cyrilem 3 comes to PS4 digital March 29th. Cyrilem 3 is the deepest monster-catching RPG in experience. Collect and breed over 700 different creatures to fight for you. Explore randomly generated dungeons within 15 unique tile sets. New features are introduced well beyond the 100-hour mark. You'll never run out of things to do. Skyworld comes to PSVR digital. Put the power of an army at your fingertips. Conquer all worlds and wage war against friends online. Put the power of a full army, even dragons, at your fingertips in Skyworld, the award-winning VR war game from the creators of Arizona Sunshine. Space Junkies comes to PSVR digital. Face off in extreme battles, immersing yourself in the visceral jetpack-fueled VR arcade shooter. Danger is everywhere as you fly through the arenas, so stay sharp as you dodge and weave through the VR battlefields. Tale of the Fragmented Star, single fragment version, comes to PSVR digital March 27th. A lone girl stands abandoned on a broken star. There exists a point on the star that intersects with another world. By standing on this convergence point and wearing the other world veering device, parentheses VR unit, you can communicate with the girl and solve puzzles to help her leave. War Theater comes to PS Vita, digital and cross-buy. An endless conflict rages. 7 warriors discover an ancient power that promises mastery over any battlefield. From the developers of Plague Road, War Theater expands classic turn-based strategy gameplay with RPG elements. Warhammer 40,000 Space Wolf comes to PS4 digital. Warhammer 40,000 Space Wolf is a turn-based tactical strategy in which you have to take command of the Space Wolves and join the battle against the wicked servants of chaos and the sinister Necrons. War Party comes to PS4 digital March 28th. War Party is a real-time strategy game set in the Stone Age era. You will build your base, recruit and control a group of soldiers, fight and tame fierce dinosaurs, and direct the flow of combat. Proper management of resources, skills, and map awareness will lead you to victory. Where the Bees Make Honey comes to PS4 digital March 26th. Where the Bees Make Honey tells a story about reflecting on different moments from a childhood, which are played and experienced from an adult perspective. At its core, Where the Bees Make Honey is a puzzle adventure game, but gameplay variation is filtered throughout. It's been a while, but that's an Alex Derrickson-ass game if I've ever heard one. Xenon Racer comes to PS4 digital and retail. It's the year 2030 and the era of flying vehicles. A one-off championship for wheel-based vehicles has been organized with cutting-edge electric cars boosted by xenon gas. Drift through cities like Tokyo and Dubai as fast as you can and claim eternal glory. And those are your new releases. This is Trophy Talk. This is the part of the show where I try to take you from 0 to 100 on a game as fast as possible, because if you recall, we're all on this planet to die, and the sanctity of trophies is indifferent. Not a whole lot. The one I did point out, MLB The Show 19, has 8 bronze, 7 silver, 7 gold, and a platinum. I did read through the trophy list, and honestly, it's very similar to MLB The Show 17, where if you just modify the sliders, and by modify, I mean crank them all in your favor, you can probably get that platinum pretty quick. There's some online stuff that does require you to be pretty good at the game, but you can fake it till you make it, I think, through that platinum. The online stuff's that's kind of what I had to do with MLB The Show 17. But I think it's applicable and transferable to the rule set of MLB The Show 19. So if you crank your sliders to the point where it favors your pitching, favors your hitting, and then diminishes what the CPU would do against you, aside from the online trophies and a handful of Road to the Show stuff, you could get that platinum pretty quick. Not even going to lie. The Block of Picks Deluxe has 46 bronze, 8 silver, 1 gold, and a platinum. I would say that one's pretty easy, just historically with the Block of Picks games. Other than that, nothing else really is sticking out. So that is that, which brings us to the end of yet another PlayStation Forecast. Remember, the PlayStation Forecast does come to you each and every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on youtube.com/PressX2Alex and podcast services around the globe, including Spotify. But if you want to get the burp right in the middle of the mic, if you want to get the show early, you can watch it live as it happens on twitch.tv/PressX2Alex. And remember, if you want your voice to be heard, you can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/PressX2Alex or write in to psforums.pressx2alex.com, where from either of those platforms you can submit questions, comments, commentaries, thoughts, concerns, whatever. We can chat about whatever you'd like, and chances are it'll end up on this show. It's a loose filtering process that I have, and I'm really, so far, we've been batting 1,000. And remember, if you want to support this show, this labor of love is self-produced and self-funded by me, but you can contribute over at patreon.com/PressX2Alex, where at the $1 tier, it is the only tier, and there is no content paywall. There is no content gating behind Patreon or anything like that. If you want to support the show at $1, it will help go towards helping this thing grow. Every little bit helps, and if at any point the monthly payouts go over $100, 10% of that will go straight to Cincinnati Children's Hospital via Extra Life. Thank you all for joining me for another week and the start of another year. I hope you guys have a great rest of your 7 days, and until next time, do the thing.